Welcome to Classical Music Composition. In today's video, we'll learn how to compose a strict canon, which is a musical procedure based on the imitative repetition of a given melody after a certain duration. Strict canons may be written in 2, 3, or more parts, and may eventually include an accompaniment in the lower register that doesn't imitate the initial melody. The easiest type of a strict canon is the one in which the imitative parts repeat the initial melody with the same exact notes at the unison or at the octave. The imitative voices may also be transposed to a different pitch, like in the following example. When the intervals of a transposed repetition are altered, we've got a tonal transposition. Before we start writing a canon, we need to figure out these three questions: how many parts, what kind of transposition, and what time interval. In this case, I'm going to compose a two-part canon at the unison with a time interval of 1 measure. The procedure to compose a canon was summarized by Walter Piston in these 3 steps. Number 1. Composing the opening measures of the initial melody. Dividing the melody into smaller segments is useful because any contrapuntal mistake at the beginning will force us to rewrite subsequent phrases. Number 2. Copy this fragment into the second part according to the desired time and pitch intervals. There are 2 types of voice leading mistakes that should be avoided in contrapuntal contexts. First, parallel perfect intervals. This happens when 2 or more unisons, octaves, perfect fourths, or perfect fifths appear in a row. The second one is when any perfect intervals are reached by leaping direct motion. However, this is generally accepted if one of the parts moves by a step, usually the top voice. As a rule of thumb, prioritizing melodic stepwise motion, contrary motion between parts, and harmonic intervals of thirds and sixths are the safest options for a good voice leading in counterpoint. Remember that any spotted mistake should be corrected back in the initial melody, which in turn may lead to new ones in the future, so be ready to change things back and forth until everything runs smoothly. Number 3. Repeat the whole process with the second segment of the initial melody, and so on until you have the desired length.
A few moments later.
3 additional considerations must be taken into account. First, the ending of the second voice naturally happens after the end of the initial melody, but this last bit can be removed if we wish both parts to end at the same time. Additionally, if the melody ends on the tonic, the last part can be easily elided with the repetition of the initial melody, leading to a so-called perpetual canon that can be repeated forever. Second, as you may notice, I kept a rhythmic variety between the bars of the initial melody. As a result, except for these 2 spots, both voices keep a nice rhythmic contrast for the most part. Homophonic canons in which all the voices move at the same time are also possible, but they should be the consequence of a conscious decision and not an accident. And 3. It's good to include some recognizable motivic elements that help to keep track of the voices. The opening motif is always going to stand out no matter what, because of its position. The middle part of the initial melody is another good spot for a memorable motif. Notice how in this case, both motifs also include the highest notes of the composition, helping them to stand out even more. Subsequent parts may be added to the canon using the same exact procedure. The following is a 3-part street canon with a shortened extra voice. That's all for today. Let me know if this video was helpful and see you next time.